What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. In this video today, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about two things that right now are currently overhanging the market. We're going to talk first about, after 14 years, $8.6 billion waking up, being moved across wallets. People are concerned about what the potential ramifications might be. Was there potentially slight chance of a hack? Was it Roger Ver, or was it someone reorganizing their wallets, potentially getting ready to sell, or for other reasons? Also, tariffs. We know that the July 9th deadline is approaching, and now Treasury Secretary Bessent has says that on August 1st, they're going to go ahead and they're going to pose tariffs back from the April 2nd deadline. And then we're going to look at one other potential thing, one thing that I think is likely in the near term to pose the greatest risk to the markets. So right now we're looking at Bitcoin trading at $108,000. It is just off closing at an all-time weekly high. It also looks like that it's potentially close here to closing at what looks like a doji on the daily time frame. A doji could signal that you're seeing an equilibrium occur between buyers and sellers. We've been consolidating now here for more than a few weeks, the $110,000 resistance. Lots of us looking for a breakout to the next leg up. We're going to take a look at what's going on. Let's start over here. We saw that $8.6 billion has been moved. It was in a wallet for more than 14 years. And then all of a sudden, we started seeing that coin being moved into 8 different new wallets. There were speculations that this could be Roger Ver. A lot of you might know Roger as probably you know him from Bitcoin Cash, right? He was the one who tried to fork Bitcoin in late December 2017 and create a new coin, Bitcoin Cash, because in the Satoshi white paper it says peer to peer. Those peers weren't defined though, right? Is Bitcoin ultimately a settlement layer between banks and institutions? Either which way, he's known as Bitcoin Jesus because back in the day, Roger was just a really enormous evangelicalist. He just really loved to spread the word about Bitcoin. He's currently right now in prison, I believe in Spain, and he's awaiting potential extradition to the United States for tax evasion. Is it possible that Roger wanted to go ahead and signal about the potential here he has with potentially owning $8.6 billion worth of Bitcoin? Likely and probably not. This probably has nothing to do with Roger. Likely and more, it's probably was someone who was mining Bitcoin early on during the Satoshi era. Maybe it's possible, and this is all speculation. Nobody actually knows what's going on right now. I mean, the thought was this a hack? Was this possibly like the largest hack in Bitcoin's history? And if it were, you would have to assume that one way or another, they're going to try to launder and sell this coin. I'm reminded of what happened not too long ago when Germany was sitting on $2.3 billion worth of Bitcoin when Bitcoin was selling at $57,000. Y'all remember 55,000 Bitcoin is cheap. And the market was there was definite pressure when Germany was selling this Bitcoin because they were just dumping it. They were just dumping it on the market. And there was downward price pressure for sure, but also it was absorbed very well. And not only was it absorbed, soon thereafter, it recovered. And now Germany obviously would have been sitting on a lot more money had they not gone ahead and sold that Bitcoin. You can see over here, this is where Germany was selling with an average price of $57,900. Here we are today, Bitcoin trading just around $108,000. Likely, if we were to see, and it's a significant difference between 8.6 billion and 2.3, roughly 3.5 times the size. And if this were to be, now you have to wonder who would be, if someone was sitting on that amount of corn for 14 years, what could have happened? Maybe they didn't have access, and then somehow they were able to regain access to their keys. And are they going to let me just go ahead, and I've been holding now for 14 years. Let me just go ahead and dump state, yeah, like Germany style, $8.6 billion worth of Bitcoin out in the market. If they did that, we're going to see downward pressure for sure, and it's also going to be absorbed, and the market will recover. And you can say, wow, this is great, because now we had corn that was been on the sidelines for 14 years, and it's been distributed, and that's healthy for the network overall. No question about that. But more than likely, what's happening here, assuming that it wasn't a hack, assuming that someone actually was reorganizing their wallets, is that, well, they're probably doing that for security purposes. And you might say, and a lot of Bitcoin OGs do say, like, look, if it's not broken, don't fix it. However, this seems going forward to be in my opinion, like a wallet reorg. It would be difficult if it were a hack to go ahead and unload this Bitcoin. It would probably be, North Korea style, moved around and somehow finding their way to market. But I do think that this is not something that we need to. It would be a real worry, a real concern if this was Satoshi wallets that had woken up, and then you were seeing Satoshi moving Bitcoin. That's something that could really spook the market. That's not what we're looking at. We're also looking at here President Trump, through his Treasury Secretary Bessent, signaling to the market that as we approach the July 9th deadline from the 90-day pause, that likely what's going to happen over here is everyone who has not made a deal, and all these deals, they so far have not come into the market. We've seen a deal with Vietnam and a deal with the UK. And this potentially looks like, is this more taco? Trump always chickens out. Is Trump folding again here? And is he going ahead and extending the tariffs? Last time that the tariffs were extended, that was extremely bullish for the market, and the markets responded well. Are we going to have the same response this time? Or is Trump saying, listen, if we don't have a deal, then you're going to get a letter from us, and we're either dictating what the tariffs are going to be, or are they indeed returning to what the April 2nd deadline is going to be? Does this kicking of the can here, which is not too far away, just a few weeks away, and during that time, I do imagine that certain deals will be made, certain deals will be had, but probably unlikely the majority won't be. Is the market concerned about this? This looks like, if this were to happen, this indeed would be to the U.S. consumer a one-time, what will be a tax. I imagine it's just a larger repricing of goods that are sold in the U.S. Market. Again, overall, will be able to absorb that. It does put more pressure out there, for sure, on the consumer, but the market will be able to absorb it. And these deflationary forces that we're experiencing likely will remain paramount, except that we have the big, beautiful bill passed. What that's going to do to risk assets, what's that going to do to the price of oil? We have to look at all of that. Right now, I think weekend futures are pretty much flat. So the market is not really signaling that they're very exuberant off of this pause. And to me, it signals that, okay, right now that they are giving some more time for things that are in motion to be worked out. But what it looks like is, in a few weeks, I don't think we're going to see a further pause from that point. This looks to me to be like the last extension. I think that the market might be focusing in on that. And I think that the market likely sooner than later is going to be focusing on, here we got Bitcoin trading at $108,000, continues here to be consolidating just below this resistance. To me, it looks like an inverted head and shoulders. And if we break out, that leg up has the potential here to be, it reminds me of the long consolidation into the 2024 election. And after that long, grueling consolidation, after the yen unwind scare, you saw a massive leg up, right? And it seems to me as once this is resolved over here and near term, we are coming into July could be a little bumpy. I do believe that. I think that personally that the extension here is going to be perceived as bullish. What I'm more concerned with is the Treasury general account. And now that the big beautiful bill has been passed, now that the debt ceiling has been extended during this particular time when that debt ceiling was had reached this limit and all the negotiation was underway, we were seeing the Treasury general account drawn upon, and that's very bullish for liquidity. And now that the bill has passed, right now we're seeing the current level around $300 billion. And it seems that this level over here around 800 billion is the comfort level, which means they have about 500 billion, $500 billion of new issuances to offer and raise. And that is not going to be beneficial for liquidity in the near term. Actually, if you remember, the last time that we did that was late in 2023, right over here in July of 2023 was the last time the debt ceiling was extended. And after drawing down, which was very bullish for liquidity, this was TGA being refilled was bearish on the markets. If you look at the price of Bitcoin during that time, you could go over here to July 2023. I'm looking for it, and here you go. And you can see that this is the period over here, the last time that the TGA was actually refilled. This was actually one of the times that Bitcoin was actually potentially a little bit in jeopardy of losing its bull market breakout, right? And I'm going to go over here to July of 2023, right over here. And then we say for us, this is right here, the bull market breakout invalidation. We called the bull market in December of 2022, 17,250, but we never knew that it was going to last without an invalidation. This is the invalidation of that line. We came pretty close in July of 2023, but around that time as well is when we saw obviously a major shift in Bitcoin, and that was the courts ruling in the United States that indeed Grayscale could roll over their fund into a spot Bitcoin ETF. And from then over there, we saw the front running of that event, and that set us up into an extension of the bull market. So my eyes are on how the market is going to respond, not to the $8.6 billion of Bitcoin waking up and being moved. I think that's fine. Even if we were to see just like straight Germany style unloading, market for sure and price will be under pressure. But look, eventually it's going to be absorbed, and then price would obviously rise out of that. I'm not so bullish on the extension of the tariffs. Actually, I don't know that the market is going to respond favorably or not to that. So that's something we're watching into the Asian Open today and overnight into London. Tomorrow, we'll take a look at how the market is initially responding to that. And my focus and why I think actually there's a good chance that through the summer now, price might be actually just battling a little bit is because of TGA being refilled. That's bearish for liquidity. That's bearish for the markets. And we might need some time here of some sideways chop in order to absorb that. And then maybe as we have the now August deadline for the tariffs resolved, and then coming into the fall, that might be when we see risk really here being able to begin to rally. Together, we'll keep our pulse on the market and we'll figure it out. Thanks for being here, everyone. Have a beautiful day. I'll see you soon.